Captain Marcus Hale maneuvered his old spacecraft through the debris of a once-thriving Talon settlement. The silence of the void was palpable, broken only by the occasional clatter of floating wreckage against the hull. Decades of conflict had left the galaxy littered with such remnants, ghost towns drifting aimlessly through space. As he landed, Marcus scanned the desolate landscape through his viewport. The air was still, the quiet almost eerie after the soft hum of the ship's engines. He stepped out, his boots crunching on the gravel, his breath visible in the cold, thin air. "This place is a graveyard," Marcus muttered to himself, adjusting the rifle slung over his shoulder. His eyes, sharp from years of scouting, scanned the horizon. That's when he saw her. A small figure, huddled against a ruined structure, her blue skin stark against the gray of the rubble. Marcus approached slowly, aware that any sudden movement could frighten her. "Hey there, little one," Marcus called out gently. The figure flinched, her wide eyes reflecting a mix of fear and curiosity. "I'm not going to hurt you," he assured, kneeling to appear less threatening. The girl stared at him, her eyes darting around, possibly looking for an escape. Marcus noticed how thin she was, her clothes tattered. "What's your name?" he asked. She replied in her language, a series of melodic tones that he couldn't understand. Seeing his confusion, she pointed to herself. "Nara." "Nara, that's a pretty name." Marcus smiled. "You hungry, Nara?" He reached into his pack, pulling out a ration bar. He broke a piece, cautiously extending it towards her. Nara took it hesitantly, nibbling on the edge. Marcus watched her eat, her initial caution fading slightly with each bite. "I have a safe place, a farm on Earth," Marcus continued, trying to build a bridge of trust. "You can't stay here, Nara. Let me take you somewhere safe." Nara looked around at the desolation that surrounded her, the stark reminder of her isolation. She nodded slowly, a gesture of trust that felt monumental. "Come on then," Marcus said, standing. He offered her his hand, which she took after a moment's hesitation. They walked back to his ship, the old man and the alien child, each step marking the beginning of an uncertain journey together. As the spacecraft lifted off, leaving the destroyed settlement behind, Marcus glanced at Nara, who was peering out of the window at the shrinking planet. "There's nothing left for you there, Nara," he said softly, more to himself than to her. "But maybe, just maybe, we can find something new." The stars stretched out before them, the vast expanse of space both an ominous challenge and a vast canvas of possibilities. As Nara fell asleep, curled up in a makeshift bed, Marcus charted a course for Earth, pondering the future. He knew the road ahead would be fraught with difficulties, but for the first time in many years, he felt a renewed sense of purpose. Captain Marcus Hale's ship, the Solitude, cut through the darkness of space, its destination set for a small, secluded farm on Earth. Inside, the quiet hum of the engines was a comforting presence, a stark contrast to the silence that Marcus had grown accustomed to in his solitary life. Sitting at the navigation console, he kept glancing back at the small, blue-skinned girl asleep in the corner. Nara stirred, her eyes fluttering open. She looked around, disoriented for a moment before her gaze settled on Marcus. He smiled gently, motioning her to join him. Reluctantly, she approached, her steps cautious on the unfamiliar metal floor. "See here?" Marcus pointed to the screen displaying a green and blue orb. "That's Earth. That's where we're going." Nara looked at the image, her face expressionless, then turned to Marcus with a mix of curiosity and apprehension. "Earth?" she repeated, the word unfamiliar and clumsy on her tongue. "Yes, it's a lot different from where you're from. You'll see trees, oceans, animals. It's peaceful," Marcus explained, hoping to ease her worries. Nara nodded slowly, the concept of a new home still foreign to her. As the ship entered Earth's atmosphere, Marcus prepared Nara for the change in environment. "The air will feel different, heavier, and it's warmer," he said, handing her a light jacket. "It'll take some time to get used to, but you'll be all right." The Solitude touched down gently on the outskirts of a vast, verdant farm. Marcus led Nara out, holding her hand as they stepped onto the soft earth. She looked around in wonder at the sprawling fields, the towering trees, and the distant hills. "This is it," Marcus announced. "Home." They spent the next few days establishing a routine. Marcus showed Nara how to feed the chickens, tend to the vegetable garden, and milk the cow. She was a quick learner, her previous life having taught her how to adapt quickly. However, the scars of her past were not just physical, but deep in her psyche. One evening, as they sat on the porch watching the sunset, Nara spoke up. Why did you bring me here? Her voice was small, filled with the weight of her unspoken past. Marcus looked at her, his face thoughtful. I guess I saw someone who was alone and hurting, much like I was after the war. I thought we could help each other, he confessed, his voice rough with emotion. Nara pondered his words, turning them over in her mind. Help each other, she repeated, a concept that resonated with her more than she expected. Yes, you see, everyone needs help sometimes, Nara. Here, you're safe, and maybe we can find some happiness together, Marcus explained, hoping his choice was right. In the weeks that followed, Nara's presence brought a new energy to the farm. Her laughter became a common sound, mixing with the rustling of the leaves and the chirping of the birds. Marcus found himself smiling more, the weight of his solitude lifting day by day. But peace was a fragile thing. One afternoon, as Marcus was teaching Nara how to fish by the pond, a black vehicle rolled up the dirt path towards the farm. Marcus stiffened, recognizing the insignia of the Galactic Authority. His past was catching up to him, and with it came the potential to shatter the fragile world he was building with Nara. Stay behind me, Marcus instructed quietly as he stood to greet the approaching figures. The door to the vehicle opened, revealing a figure from his past he hoped never to see again. The long road to recovery was about to face its first major hurdle. The door of the black vehicle swung open, and a tall, imposing figure stepped out, his boots crunching on the gravel path. Marcus recognized him immediately. General Arlen Voss, a former comrade turned Galactic Authority enforcer. His presence boded ill, especially here, at the sanctuary Marcus had built far from the turmoil of the galaxy. Marcus Hale, Voss called out, his voice carrying a deceptive warmth. It's been a long time. Marcus shielded Nara with his body, his voice steady. Arlen, to what do I owe the pleasure? Voss's gaze flickered to Nara briefly, a spark of curiosity in his eyes. We've heard rumors, Marcus. Stories of a Talon child found in a war zone, now living on Earth. You know harboring alien refugees without declaration is a breach of galactic code. Marcus felt Nara's grip tighten on his shirt. He responded firmly. She's no threat, Arlen. Just a child who's lost everything. I'm providing a home, nothing more. Voss stepped closer, his shadow falling over them. You were always sentimental, Marcus. Let us be the judge of that. The Authority has protocols for dealing with extraterrestrial beings. Nara peeked out from behind Marcus, her blue eyes wide with fear. Voss noted her reaction with a nod. She looks harmless enough, but we'll need to take her in for assessment. It's standard procedure. Marcus's jaw clenched. She stays with me. I won't let you drag her into your labs and tests. She's been through enough. Voss sighed, his demeanor turning cold. I didn't come here to debate, Marcus. You can cooperate, or we can do this the hard way. You know I have the authority to enforce compliance. The tension thickened, like the air before a storm. It was then that Marcus made a decision, a flash of resolve in his eyes. If it's an official inspection you want, then you'll have it. But under my supervision here, she does not leave the farm. Voss studied Marcus for a moment, then slowly nodded. Very well. I'll have my team set up for an assessment tomorrow morning. Don't make me regret this concession, old friend. As the vehicle retreated, Marcus turned to Nara, his expression softening. It's okay. I won't let them take you. We'll get through this together. Nara's response was a nod, her trust in Marcus solidifying despite the uncertainty of their situation. That evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows over the farm, Marcus prepared for what was to come. He contacted old allies and secured promises of assistance. Nara watched silently, her understanding of human affairs growing deeper with each phone call Marcus made. The next morning, Marcus and Nara faced the Galactic Authority's assessment team with a quiet defiance. Voss was true to his word, and the inspection was conducted at the farm. Nara answered their questions with Marcus by her side, her voice steady, but her hands hidden in her sleeves, trembling. As the Galactic Authority packed up, Voss approached Marcus one last time. She seems harmless, Marcus, but keep her out of the public eye. I can only fend off the higher-ups for so long. Marcus watched the vehicles disappear down the dusty road, a mixture of relief and worry churning in his gut. He knew this was only a temporary reprieve. As long as Nara was with him, the shadows of the past would linger, threatening the peace he had fought so hard to establish. Turning to Nara, who was watching the dust settle, Marcus said, Let's go fishing, kid. We've got a lot to talk about, and I find the water's always good for thinking. Nara smiled, a small yet brave smile, and followed Marcus to the pond. The peace of the farm settled around them once more, a fragile shield against the galaxy's chaos. But for now, it was enough. The calm that had settled over Marcus Hale's farm was short-lived. Days after the Galactic Authority's inspection, a new threat loomed, more immediate and dangerous than bureaucratic scrutiny. Late one evening, as Marcus and Nara worked in the workshop, the quiet was shattered by a sharp warning beep from the security system Marcus had installed around the perimeter of the farm. Jumping up, Marcus moved swiftly to the console mounted on the wall, flipping on the external cameras. The screens flickered to life, showing shadowy figures moving stealthily through the orchard. Raiders, Marcus muttered under his breath, recognizing the telltale signs of scavengers who often preyed on isolated settlements. Nara clung to his side, her eyes wide with fear. "What are they doing here?" she whispered. "They're after anything they can take, but they don't know about you, and we need to keep it that way," Marcus replied, his mind racing. He knew they needed to escape or hide until he could figure out a better plan. Grabbing a backpack, Marcus filled it with essentials quickly. "We're going to the old bunker in the woods. It's hidden and safe," he explained as he led her out a back door, moving away from the raiders' approach. The bunker, a relic from his military days, was camouflaged beneath layers of earth and vine. As they hunkered down, the distant sounds of footsteps and voices searching the farm grew louder. Nara huddled against Marcus, trying to make herself as small as possible. Marcus whispered reassurances, but his gaze remained fixed on the security feeds displayed on his portable device. The raiders were thorough, getting frustratingly close to discovering their hiding spot. He knew that if they were found, things could turn violent quickly. After what seemed like hours, the raiders finally retreated, not finding what they deemed valuable enough to stay for. Marcus let out a deep breath he hadn't realized he'd been holding, his relief palpable. But the incident left him uneasy. It was no random attack. Something or someone had directed these raiders here, making it clear that the threats were escalating. Once it was safe, they returned to the farm, which was now a mess. Marcus assessed the damage in silence. Tools were scattered, and food supplies were raided. It was a clear message. They were vulnerable, and perhaps it was time to leave. "We can't stay here. Not now," Marcus said, more to himself than to Nara. He looked down at her, her face streaked with dirt and eyes filled with uncertainty. "We'll go to the city. I have contacts there. We can regroup and plan our next move." Nara nodded, understanding the gravity of their situation. She trusted Marcus implicitly, the bond between them stronger than ever. The following morning, they packed what remained, setting out for the city at dawn. The journey was tense, each rustle in the bushes, each snap of a twig putting them on high alert. By the time the city's skyline appeared on the horizon, both were weary but vigilant. Upon arrival, Marcus led Nara to a safe house operated by an old friend, Lena, who was surprised but welcoming. "Marcus, it's been years," Lena greeted them, her eyes widening as she noticed Nara. "And who is this?" "This is Nara," Marcus introduced. "We need a place to lay low for a while." Lena nodded, understanding the situation without needing further explanation. "You're both safe here," she assured as she showed them to a small, secure room. As Nara settled in, Marcus went over their situation with Lena, explaining the recent attacks and the potential danger they were in. Lena listened intently, her face grim. "You've got quite the storm following you, Marcus, but we'll keep you safe here." Marcus knew that this was only another temporary solution. The real challenge was still ahead, and he would need all the help he could get to protect Nara and uncover who was really after them, and why. Inside the safe confines of Lena's hideout, Marcus and Nara tried to find a semblance of normalcy amidst the chaos that had followed them into the city. While Nara read quietly in the corner, Marcus and Lena pored over maps and digital feeds, searching for clues about who might be orchestrating the attacks on the farm. "It's like they knew exactly when to strike," Marcus said, his brow furrowed as he replayed the security footage. "And that precision doesn't come out of nowhere." Lena nodded, tapping on her tablet to bring up a list of known raider groups and their recent activities. "These aren't your ordinary scavengers. Look at this pattern. These raids are coordinated, and they're hitting targets that are increasingly secure. Someone is pulling their strings, giving them intel." "But why target a retired old soldier and a little girl?" Marcus mused aloud. His mind raced with possibilities, none of which made sense unless... Lena glanced at Nara, a thought dawning on her. Marcus, what if it's not about what you took, but who? What do we really know about Nara? Marcus looked at Nara, who was oblivious to the conversation, lost in her book. She's just a child, he started, but Lena interrupted. A child from a war-torn sector, found alone. Who knows what secret she might hold, even unknowingly? Maybe something encoded, something embedded that's valuable. The possibility struck Marcus with a chilling clarity. If Nara unwittingly carried secrets, perhaps in a genetic marker or hidden in her memories, it could explain the intensity and the risk the raiders were willing to take. We need to find out who's behind this without exposing her to more danger, Marcus decided. I have an old contact in the Galactic Authority, someone who can discreetly dig deeper into this. With Lena's assistance, Marcus reached out to his contact, a low-profile analyst named Darren, explaining the situation in broad terms to protect Nara's identity. Darren agreed to help, intrigued by the mystery and loyal to his old friend. Days passed with no word from Darren, the tension mounting in the safe house. Marcus took to teaching Nara some basic self-defense moves, turning their weight into an opportunity to strengthen her ability to protect herself. Finally, Darren contacted them with urgent news. Marcus, I've uncovered something significant. Your farm was under surveillance not by raiders, but by a covert operative from the Anorak Consortium. They're a shadowy group, known for their ruthless pursuit of alien technology. The Anorak Consortium? Marcus repeated, the name sending a shiver down his spine. Why would they be interested in Nara? Darren's voice was grave. I'm not sure yet, but it's clear they believe she's key to some kind of alien artifact or technology. Marcus, they won't stop until they get what they want. You need to be extremely careful. Armed with this new information, Marcus realized the gravity of their situation. Nara wasn't just any refugee. She was potentially the link to something that could shift the power dynamics of the galaxy. That night, Marcus sat down with Nara, choosing his words carefully. Nara, we need to talk about your home, about your past. It's important, and it might help keep us safe. Nara listened intently, her blue eyes wide with a mix of curiosity and fear. I remember songs, she began shyly, and stories they told us about a place hidden, protected by the stars themselves. Anything else? Any detail could help, Marcus encouraged, his mind racing to piece together clues from her memories. As Nara recounted tales of her people, hidden cryptically in children's stories and lullabies, Marcus and Lena exchanged glances. The puzzle was complex, but every piece Nara provided could be the key to understanding why the Anorak Consortium was so desperate to find her, and how they could finally stop them. With the realization that Nara could unknowingly hold the key to an alien technology that the Anorak Consortium desperately sought, Marcus knew that they were up against a formidable enemy. He understood that their current hideout in the city wouldn't protect them for long. It was only a matter of time before the Anorak's agents would close in on their location. We need to go on the offensive, Marcus declared one morning, his decision firm despite the danger it entailed. Lena nodded in agreement, knowing well that defense was no longer a viable strategy. We'll need more than just the three of us if we're going to stand a chance against the Anorak, Lena said as she contacted more allies, former comrades who had retired from the field but still held a grudge against the consortium for their ruthless tactics during the war. Marcus spent the next few days training with Nara, not only in self-defense but also in using her memory to uncover any clues that might help them understand the technology the Anorak sought. Each session revealed fragmented pieces of her past, like a map written in an unknown code. Meanwhile, Lena's contacts came through. A small, skilled group of veterans assembled, each driven by loyalty to Marcus and a shared desire to thwart the Anorak's schemes. They fortified the safe house, setting up surveillance and traps, preparing for the inevitable confrontation. The attack came under the cover of darkness. Silhouettes breached the perimeter, their movements swift and silent. But Marcus and his team were ready. The night erupted into chaos, with flashes of gunfire and the clash of close combat. Marcus found himself back-to-back with Lena as they faced off against a wave of attackers. They're not holding back, Lena shouted over the din of battle, her voice tense. We're not either, Marcus replied, taking down another assailant. Beside him, Lena's precision was lethal and exact. Nara, hidden in a secure room, felt the walls shake from the impact of the fighting. Fear gripped her, but she remembered Marcus's training. She focused on staying silent, her mind racing to recall any detail from her past that might help. As the tide of the battle seemed to turn against them, an unexpected advantage emerged. Nara, her memory triggered by the stress, suddenly understood the significance of a recurring symbol in her recollections, a star constellation known as the Talon Shield. She burst out of her hiding place, finding Marcus as he reloaded his weapon. "Marcus, the technology, it's not here. It's hidden in space, near a star formation," she cried out, her revelation urgent and clear. Marcus processed her words, a plan forming swiftly. "Lena, cover us! We need to get to the communication room." Fighting their way through, they reached the communications setup, broadcasting the coordinates Nara remembered to their allies in space. "If we can secure it before the Anorak, we can end this," Marcus yelled into the comm link. The battle at the safe house became a diversion, one that allowed their allies to race against time to retrieve the hidden technology. Hours later, as the sun rose, the echoes of battle faded. Weary but vigilant, Marcus and his team awaited confirmation from their allies. The call finally came. Successful retrieval of the alien technology, secured from the grasp of the Anorak Consortium. Breathing a sigh of relief, Marcus collapsed against the wall, Lena slumping beside him. Nara approached slowly, her small face solemn. "Did we do it? Is it over?" she asked, her voice small in the vast silence that followed the storm. "For now, Nara. For now, it's over," Marcus reassured her, knowing the galaxy was never free from conflict, but that they had won a significant victory that day. Together, they stepped outside to watch the dawn, the morning light washing over a world that felt, at least for a moment, at peace. After the intense battle and the successful interception of the alien technology, Marcus, Lena, and Nara faced a brief period of calm. The news of their victory spread quickly among their allies, and the Anorak Consortium's pursuit eased as they dealt with the repercussions of their failure. However, Marcus knew that this peace was temporary and that a more strategic solution was needed to ensure long-term safety for Nara and to deter any future conflicts. Within days, Marcus organized a meeting with representatives from various galactic factions, influential figures who could sway the balance of power within the galaxy. The meeting was held on a neutral space station, orbiting a peaceful planet, where Marcus intended to reveal the truth about the alien technology and Nara's role in its protection. Nara, understanding the gravity of the situation, stood by Marcus's side as he addressed the assembly. "We stand at a crossroads," Marcus began, his voice echoing in the chamber. "What we've uncovered has the potential to either unite us in peace or tear us apart in greed and conflict." He detailed their recent struggles and explained how Nara's inadvertent connection to the alien technology had made her a target. "This technology does not belong to one group, one planet, or one species. It was meant for all, as a means to protect and enhance the lives of many," Marcus argued. The debate that followed was intense. Many were skeptical, others curious, and a few outright hostile. But it was Nara's own words, her plea for peace and understanding, that shifted the tide. "I've seen what this technology can do when wielded out of fear," she said, her voice steady and more mature than her years would suggest. "But I've also seen the hope it brings when used for good. Let us choose hope." Moved by her earnestness and the undeniable logic of her guardian's actions, the Assembly voted to form a new coalition, tasked with the protection and ethical use of the alien technology. This coalition would include members from all represented factions, ensuring a balanced approach and mutual benefits. As part of the agreement, Nara was granted asylum on Earth, under the protection of the coalition, and Marcus was appointed as an advisor to the coalition, his experience and bravery recognized and valued. The return to Earth was quiet, reflective. Marcus and Nara spent the journey discussing their future roles and responsibilities. "You've changed things, Nara," Marcus said, looking at her with a mix of pride and wonder. "You've changed me." Nara smiled, her earlier shyness replaced by a newfound confidence. "We changed things, Marcus. Together." Back on Earth, as they walked through the fields of Marcus's farm, now under the protection of the coalition, Nara seemed at ease, truly at home for the first time. She played with a dog they had adopted, her laughter bright and hopeful. Marcus, watching her, felt a deep sense of accomplishment. They had not only saved an important piece of technology from falling into the wrong hands, but had also steered the galaxy toward a potentially more peaceful future. As they settled back into life on the farm, Marcus took up his new role with vigor, participating in coalition meetings and advocating for peace and collaborative use of technology. Nara, growing more curious about her heritage and her connection to the technology, began studying and eventually teaching about her culture and the technology's origins. Together, they had sparked a significant change, a turning tide that promised a brighter future, not just for themselves, but for the galaxy at large. The dawn on Marcus Hale's farm was crisp and golden, a serene start to a new chapter in their lives. With the establishment of the Coalition and the safekeeping of the alien technology, the galaxy had entered a period of cautious optimism. Nara, now more than just a survivor but a symbol of unity, was at the heart of this new beginning. As they walked through the farm, Marcus observed Nara interacting with the plants and animals with a gentle curiosity that had grown over the months. She was no longer the frightened, wary child he had found among the ruins. Now she moved with confidence and a sense of belonging that came from knowing she was protected and loved. "Nara, you've come a long way," Marcus said, his voice thick with emotion as they paused to watch the sunrise. "Do you remember the first day you arrived here?" Nara nodded, her blue eyes reflecting the morning light. "I was scared. Everything was so different, and I didn't know if I could find a place here." "And now?" Marcus asked, already knowing the answer from the smile that spread across her face. "Now, it feels like home," she replied, her hand finding Marcus's as they stood side by side. "Thank you for everything." Marcus squeezed her hand gently. "Thank you, Nara, for teaching me that even an old soldier like me can find a new cause to fight for peace." Their peaceful life on Earth was punctuated by visits from Coalition members and other dignitaries. Nara, with her unique connection to the technology, became an ambassador of sorts, her experiences and insights valuable in promoting understanding and cooperation among various galactic entities. Marcus took pride in watching her grow into her role, guiding her when needed but mostly just supporting her journey. He continued to manage the farm, which had become a symbol of Earth's renewal and a frequent meeting ground for those wishing to learn more about the Coalition and its efforts. One day, as they prepared for a visit from a delegation interested in agricultural applications of the alien technology, Nara approached Marcus with a contemplative look. "Marcus, I've been thinking," she started hesitantly. "I want to explore more about my people, about where I come from. Maybe there are others out there, others like me." Marcus listened, understanding the importance of her request. "I think that's a wonderful idea," he replied. "You have a unique opportunity to bridge worlds, Nara. If there's anything I can do to help, you know I will." Plans were made for Nara to travel, to visit archives and research facilities, both on Earth and other planets. The Coalition supported her fully, eager for her to deepen her connection to her heritage and share her findings for the greater good. As Nara prepared for her journey, Marcus felt a bittersweet pang. He was proud of her growth and excited for her future, but he would miss her deeply. Yet, he knew this was the path she needed to take. On the morning of her departure, as they stood at the spaceport, Nara turned to Marcus, her eyes shining with tears. "I'll be back, you know," she said, trying to smile. "I know," Marcus replied, his voice steady though his heart was heavy. "Go make us proud, Nara." As her ship lifted off, soaring into the sky that once seemed so daunting and now promised endless possibilities, Marcus felt a profound peace settle over him. Nara was no longer the orphaned little alien girl he had found starving among the ruins. She was a beacon of hope, a bridge between worlds, and a daughter he had come to love. Watching the ship disappear into the clouds, Marcus turned and walked back to his farm, the sun warm on his back, ready to face whatever the day would bring, with a heart full of hope for the future.